Hello and welcome to episode 21 of our Timberborn Update 6 Apocalypse Mode playthrough here in Cycle 14, day 101. We have 1/10 of a day left in this very long drought, and we're just about out of water. In fact, this probably is going to evaporate before we get anything else coming out of our sources once these turn back on at the start of Cycle 15. But yeah, you can see there's a little bit of bad water here left over from the very last of the contamination in a reservoir that happened, I don't know, a couple episodes ago at this point. And we do have a bad water pump that's hopefully going to get a little bit more out of this before it completely dries up so we can continue making dynamite and all sorts of other fun stuff. But here we are again, Cycle 15. Hard to believe, Cycle 15 in episode 21, but these cycles are pretty long. If 101 days wasn't long enough for you, I'm sure we're going to have a couple that are a little longer than that, given that the longest possible bad tide and longest possible drought is 100 days by itself. But we haven't had one of those yet. Operative term being yet. So, where are we? It's been a week since we had one of these episodes because we had all the excitement of Update 7 stuff come out. So if somehow you haven't seen those videos, please do go check those out. We're having a very good time with the folktales there and also with our live stream series with the Iron Teeth. But since today we're back in Apocalypse mode, we've got a lot of stuff to take care of. Very, very helpful comments and enthusiasm also from you guys with the return of this series last week. But I think the smartest thing to do today is going to be to get our District 7, which I still have not renamed. Last call for name suggestions, by the way. We're going to run a poll before the next episode. But we got to get this up and running with its own industrial processes, have some more trees, and most importantly, bad water discharge that we can actually unpause now because we no longer need to use explosives to take care of everything on the other side of the map. So I know it's going to take a long time, but we absolutely have to get it going so that we can have some sort of hope of having stable power during droughts. Because, well, 100 days is a long time. And hey, guess what? This is completely dried up now, which means we have absolutely no chance, unless something goes horribly wrong, of having bad water contaminate this reservoir ever again. So, this deep bad water pump can be paused, and we can continue moving forward with the best possible solutions for everything else in the game without worrying about contaminating the main district or our drinking water supply or our irrigation or anything like that. Now, of course, in typical fashion, this will take some time to get back where it needs to go. So we're going to leave that be for a bit and talk about a couple of the things that we need to finish so that this main district can thrive, not just survive. And we have plenty of canola. You guys picked up on that. We have a lot of seeds that aren't being pressed. So I believe a lot of that problem, and so do many of you, stems from this single oil press not being able to keep up with demand. So that will be very simple to fix. Just got to put one more right here, right next door. The power supply versus demand is a little bit imbalanced right now because this engine is not prioritized by haulers, but now it is. So we should be in a much better position to take care of that. This will draw another 50, and we do have these guys both running in the smelters here. And that's going to take a little bit of time to make some metal for us. Update 7 doubled the speed at which these smelters produce metal blocks, which is great, but this is Update 6, so for right now we still have to wait 4 hours to get a single metal block, while the beavers in the new update have to wait 2 hours. But no sense worrying about that. We'll just do what we can do and move on from there. Yeah, this still hasn't been irrigated yet. There's so much going on. So let's get this in triple speed, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be sitting here for another hour waiting for water to get back into the main area here. We still, fortunately, do have these guys ready to go down here to keep all of our eggplants irrigated. But, unfortunately, I didn't catch all this stuff with the soybeans, so now I'm a little bit upset about that, because that's really annoying to have to replant all these things, man. Oh, what a drag. But, you know, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So, we wanted to get rid of these eggplants anyway, because that was going to be a whole thing. So I think what's going to make the most sense is that we just go ahead and say bye-bye, and replant all of these as soybeans, which was our original goal when we originally set out to do all this. Last episode, or whatever it was that happened. And I think for our purposes, we also can justify taking a couple more rows of these berries away. And by a couple, I'm going to say 4. Might be a little bit much. Depends on your opinion of how important the berries are. But as long as we don't have to eat them to survive, a pretty small amount is all that's going to be necessary. Plus, we have all this space up here that we can, at this point, probably pretty easily irrigate without too much trouble. So I think it's going to be much more important for us to diversify our food down here and continue that process. So away we go. Just get everything else taken care of. And just in time for all of these to be dead anyway. That's just the way it goes. So, moving right along. Let's get these things added in here. And that should being the operative term, be a tremendous boost for our beavers. And we have 2 of these presses now, which should be a big improvement on that. But the main thing that we're attempting to do this episode, I say, is I get a few of these pumping again. The main thing we're trying to do is get this area a lot more suited to the long droughts, and we don't know exactly when we're going to get one. We do have a guaranteed minimum duration of the temperate season in this specific difficulty of 7 days. So we have at least 5 more days, technically almost 5.5, to get whatever other preparations we want to be done, and that should be just as much as we need. We started working last time on building this set of levees here. Encountered my least favorite builder priority nonsense, but that's always what happens. And today I really would like to, before the end of this temperate season, or at least if it's going to be a bad tide before the end of the temperate season. If it's the drought, it doesn't matter because it's all going to go away anyhow. But I would like to get at least a little bit of this levee taken care of. I think they can do it. I think they have the ability to get that accomplished. Obviously, there's still some trees that we need to be planting and taking advantage of space up here. So on and so forth, continuing to blast this out and getting more stuff taken care of as we have the ability. Unfortunately, the badwater discharge does require explosives, which is going to be a little bit more important than blasting out terrain to build some trees. So I think we're just going to have to let that be what it's going to be. We do have plenty of trees down here that can be cut down and utilized upstairs, as it were. But we don't have these guys marked for cutting, so it's a very good thing that I decided to check that out, or else it would have ended less than ideally, I guess we could say. So our drinking water reservoir is filling up nicely. We did open this last time. If we feel like it, we can go ahead and get this situated here. I think I'm probably fine to go ahead and get rid of the rest of this and reclaim all of these pieces of wood. Just to move on to the best of our ability. Hey, look at that. We already have a growing amount of canola oil, so that's great to see. Everything moving smoothly. We've got extra capacity to fill with our water pumping. And I guess technically we have extra beavers, but let's check and see what District 7's got. Yeah, about as good as we could expect. So I'm going to turn on 2 additional pumps. That should be fine right there. Remember that we do have this storage tower that is currently, well, mostly empty because all this stuff hasn't really kept up very well. And we need to do a little bit more refinement with that, but that will happen in due time. We also have the coffee brewery that somehow I forgot needed treated planks. Thank you to those of you who caught that. So we do have to build a wood workshop, and we do have to have pine resin, which is another one of those things that we hadn't really bothered to mess with. So I'm going to stop cutting down the pine trees, and we're going to have to put in a tapper shack to get some resin off of that. I don't think long-term we're going to need a tremendous amount of pine resin. But at the moment, these are the only pine trees we have that aren't, not alive. So we're going to have to do something with those guys. And we're going to need to do something about placement for that as well. I don't really know Oh, there's no way it would be that simple, right? There's no way. Not a chance. Well, we're going to do it. Why not? Well, you know what we know. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. My mouth doesn't know, but my brain does. You know what we're going to say. There's no rule that says the dog can't play basketball, so guess what? This dog is going to play basketball, just like that. And we're going to get our pine resin out of this thing, and then that's, whenever that becomes a thing, then we're going to have our coffee brewery, because, you know, who doesn't want that? We do also need to build a wood workshop, and that's going to be a pretty insignificant building in the grand scheme of things. So I'm just going to plop that over here without regard for actual power demand, because, again, it really doesn't matter. Oh, that's backwards, isn't it? Or is it? I actually can't remember. But right now this is producing, technically, 150 extra HP, even though this one explosives factory is turned off. And this one takes 250. But you know what I just realized? We never turned the badwater pumps back on, and we do desperately need those. So let's get that situated, which does mean that we now have 3 vacancies in District 7. And here, we're all tied up. So what I'm going to do, since we have so much water, I'm going to pause those guys. And we're going to send 2 more beavers over here, just by raising our minimum to 19. And they'll be able to take care of that. Pump our bad water, get it brought over to the other district. Hopefully, that decides to work. And we should be in a decent spot for that. So, this bad water discharge, of course, cannot be constructed until we have the rest of these platforms taken care of. Thankfully, I remembered to remove the stairs here, or else we would have had a really bad time. And I do want to address, I didn't even think about this, but you guys got this. I somehow managed to build the first bad water discharge, the only one that wasn't accessible from this little set of platforms and levees here. So apologies for that. That was not intentional. But it ended up happening anyway, which is objectively kind of funny. So we'll turn this number cruncher back on, that way we're making enough power to actually run it. Make some more science, because, you know, we're always going to need that. And yeah, we need more trees. We need more trees up here. And I know there's a lot of wood, technically, just hanging out, having a good time. But it's going to be what it's going to be. And we need to have some planks. So if we turn that guy on, should help us out considerably to take care of the rest of this stuff. We do have smelting occurring up here, which is great, because if we hadn't done that, then we would be dependent entirely on these 2 in a different district, which isn't exactly the best way to be going about handling all this. So, how are we looking on everything else? The eggplant rations are being consumed expeditiously. There's still plenty that need to be plucked out of the ground. And we could use a little bit more in the way of population, but I'm not going to fall into the trap of adding additional beaver growing tanks, pods, whatever they're called. We desperately need to raise the well-being, and food is a way to do that. But like so many of you have been asking for in the comments for quite some time, we do need to continue adding benefits. Oh, good, it's a drought, not a bad tide. I was going to be very, very worried it was going to be a bad tide. But there's just simple stuff we can do. Like, now that this isn't going to be contaminated ever again, unless something horribly goes wrong, we can put in stuff like swimming pools and all sorts of other fun that the beavers never would have had access to because of reasons. Now that things aren't quite as terrible, I guess you could say, we're going to be in a good position to give them a little bit more of what they want, a little bit more of what they crave. As long as it's electrolytes. Well, there you go. Going to put a swimming pool there just because that fits so nicely. And that's just another opportunity for them to get their laps in and get a little bit of well-being enjoyment out of it. We do have scratchers we put in, so that's an improvement. Exercise plaza, once we have, I guess, more metal than we currently do, would be a good choice, along with the rest of this. And yes, the frog statue, which is dependent on treated planks. We're not right now in the position to make any of those. But soon, soon we can have the frog statue. And this guy can be safely paused because, again, there's nothing going on there. These pine trees, within the next 5 or 6 days, should be producing a small amount of pine resin. But here we are now. We got 2 days left until possibly up to a 100-day drought. We've got a very good storage of water, just shy of 25,000. And our drinking water reservoir is filling up, well, as fast as it can. It's not really possible to go any quicker than this. Do I see a differential in the height here on the back? The bottom quarter of that thing is done. No, it's about equal. It's about equal. That's fine. I just want to make sure we're getting as much as we can before bad things happen. But since this is a drought and not a bad tide coming up, then we won't have to worry about this or getting filtered or anything like that. We're just going to be able to enjoy whatever water we get before we run out of time. But because it's a drought, remember, this is incredibly important that this badwater discharge gets built. And we are very close to having enough metal blocks. We already have enough gears. Explosives. Explosives are the challenging thing for this. And even though we have our total collection of metal blocks and gears in general, this district doesn't have all of them. So we do need to make sure that they can be imported. And I think, yeah, we have storages, so it's just going to be a matter of time for them to get it up here. And that's going to be fine. As long as we are making additional explosives, then we're going to be in good shape. I'm going to go ahead and turn this one explosives factory on, which will perfectly even this out at 800 HP on either side of the supply and demand. And it is my hope that we'll be able to have enough explosives before too long. I really should have done a little bit better job at managing this, but you know how it goes. All we can do now is wait for them to finish this, and then once that one is done, we'll start building the rest. If this is operational, though, and it's forced open, which I need to go ahead and do before it gets built, then there will be at least some amount of stuff going through here, which will enable us to get everything that we need accomplished. The other kind of unfortunate thing about, not having water for potentially up to 100 days is that this dam is going to be completely pointless if it is not finished in the next 0.4 days, which I don't think I have to be telling you that that's not going to happen. But it is what it is. It needs to get built eventually anyway, but it's not going to be a huge priority. And we can very safely completely deprioritize all of that because, well, obviously, that will hopefully give them a little bit more inspiration to take care of this in an effective manner. And we will be able to reap the benefits of that before too much longer. And we're almost there in terms of explosives. We just have about 15 left to make, I believe. How long is the drought going to be? Oh, man, only 53 days? Come on. I was hoping for 100. That's the only way we're going to know for sure that we've mastered apocalypse mode, is if we get a 100-day drought and we survive. So we'll just have to suffer along with half of our potential here. But who am I to complain about, only having a 53-day drought, right? You want the challenge, but you'll also take the leniency. Because, if you wish for it too hard, it might actually happen. And you might not be prepared. So, fortunately, stuff in this district is looking really good, and we are making slow incremental improvements. And there's plenty of water stored back here, and there's plenty of water stored here for consumption. Shouldn't have any major problems. So I guess this is going to be a really good opportunity for us to focus on getting this district, like I said at the beginning of the video, all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and pause this number cruncher again because, well, until this is finished, this engine's all we got. And we need to be doing stuff like making planks and making the food rations and making metal and all of that. So this industrial lumber mill, for this district, we take a look here. We don't need to be making any more planks. I'm going to shut that off if I remember to press the button. There we go. Now all we got to do is see how things are happening here, which Slowly would be the operative term. I think, though, based on how everything is looking in the rest of the map, that shouldn't be too long before that gets done. Assuming, of course, we have more than 2 beavers working in the district center. I should have caught that one right away. So we can safely pause these bad water pumps, go ahead and add 2 additional beavers back in here. That'll be a lot faster. And then, is there anywhere else we can shave beaver labor off of? I don't know right now. I have 2 unemployed beavers, really? Really? Well, you know what that means. 2 more beavers to district, 7. As long as we have housing for them, which, ooh, we don't. But we can fix that. I'm going to go ahead and open up this other builder's hut and get those guys in there. And we're going to need to add in a larger beaver storage, since it's apparently very funny when I call it that. So we'll let them get 1 more sleep. Somebody's going to have to sleep outside, but you know camping's fun sometimes, as long as it's not every day. We'll go ahead and tomorrow when the beavers wake up, demolish this barracks, and then build the large one that'll hold 16. Now, I could have just built something else in another location, obviously, but sometimes it's fun to do things in stupid ways when it doesn't actually cause anything bad to happen. Alright, day 12. Rise and shine. Well, now you have no choice. Go ahead and get this situated here. Let them do what they gotta do. I'm gonna prioritize that. And yeah, they're already making good progress here. It's still gonna take a little bit of time, but that's okay. While we're waiting for them to do that, let's talk a little bit about what I want to do here. If you remember our Water Weaver playthrough on this map, I straightened this a little bit, and I think that's going to be the best way to go about doing it in this one as well, once we have our explosives a little bit higher. Because keep in mind, we don't have the ability to pump any bad water here. And the only other bad water pumps we have are down here, currently flooded, and this one, which ideally we'll never have to pump again. So, we're going to have to pump out of here, which is going to require an additional bad water pump. So I'm going to put that guy right there. We'll get that built up on another one of those priority things. Uh-oh, this isn't finished, ready to go, so we're going to have a whole bunch of beavers camping tonight, but that's all right. Next time, build it faster and you'll have somewhere to sleep. Anyway, so obviously these aren't going to be serviceable until this is operating anyhow. And honestly, I want to straighten this out, so these are going to have to go away anyway. And it makes so much more sense to pump out of this reservoir. I don't know why I built these here, but we get rid of those guys. It's going to give us some more materials. And then when we straighten this, it's going to be a whole lot easier to come in with the large water wheels, which we have not used at all in this playthrough. And we can go ahead and decide how this wants to get done. I do like the idea of having this be 4 blocks wide. I don't think it's going to be an issue for flooding or anything, because I'm going to deepen this. It's going to be a whole lot easier to keep everything moving along if we have it 4 wide with the middle 2, or I guess not the middle 2, all 4 of them deepened down, so I can have the large water wheels all the way sunk into the ground, and that'll give us enough throughput, especially when we fall off the edge here, to take care of all of the flow problems. But since this isn't going to be emitting any bad water or anything until that's finished, which could be a while, this is a good opportunity to come down here and cut these trees. We have just a few accessible in here, so we do want to make sure that they have access to those. Just to get nice and cleaned up, and then move on to everything else. Lots of stuff to get done. We already know it's going to take time, but that's something we are very familiar with and very okay with here. So let's get that taken care of. These guys are waiting on... Really? They still haven't built these. Well, they'll figure it out. It'll be alright. These 5 injured beavers are in which district? Here. Now, I know we have medical beds. Are they using them? Yeah, it looks like they are. How many do we have? I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I should have more than that. I hope I do. Let's check our thing here. Oh, I only have 4 medical beds. Okay. That is going to be a good opportunity for us to improve things for the beavers. If I can find a decent place to put one without it being a big deal. Well, I know it's not ideal, but whatever. I'll just put a couple more down here. They'll be able to take care of that just fine. Alright. Oh, you know what I did? Is I took away the lumberjack flag that was over here. So, this, if we want to be able to get down here, is going to have to go... Looks like right there. Be totally fine. This isn't going to get finished anytime soon, right? Okay. I don't want to flood whoever's working here with bad water, because obviously that's not an ideal scenario. These guys hopefully aren't going to waste any time building this until everything else is taken care of. We are going to have to get that marked. Good to go. Now, our rations for other types of stuff here really aren't... they're not doing too hot. And I haven't had anything specifically prioritized here. But I have to wonder. I have to wonder if these guys are just not very good at their jobs. Okay, this one has prioritized soybeans, which is kind of funny because these are really far away, and I already have one right next to it. So let's just take that off. It should be okay. You know, we still haven't filled up our storage, which is funny because I've got 6 beavers pumping in here. How am I... Is it just because they're injured? Yeah, okay. That's to be expected. They just keep dropping like flies. But no injured here. They're just vacancies. But that's, that's fine because I have this one set to minimum priority. That's always going to be what they're doing there. Did we finally finish putting on all the... Yes, we did. We finished with all the explosives. They're working on the metal blocks and the gears. That will still take a little bit of time. But it looks like we're going to get these taken out, which is good. Because now what we can do, before this gets super crazy, is we can decide how we want this to be routed. And I think the smartest thing to do is just going to be to follow this bit here that's already there. And we just need to deepen this middle bit first. Because that's going to be the hardest one to get to after we start actually producing bad water. So since these aren't turning, I am going to go ahead. We have plenty of corn rations. Just had to check again. Going to get rid of these. And we need to go ahead and get these situated. Nice and easy. Because after this starts producing, then it's going to be harder to get beavers in here. And we don't want to have to, build a whole bunch of scaffolding for absolutely no reason. The rest of these, we can use double dynamite, and we absolutely should. But this middle bit here, definitely don't want it to turn into the whole mess. Terraforming is also going to be really important up here, but we have to have 100 of the treated planks to do that, which is going to take some time. And I honestly can't promise that that's going to happen this episode either, which is why I kind of wanted to do everything we could do with this first. We do, however, have some pine resin, so that means we can turn this on. And I think, looking at how the metal is right now... Oh, these aren't all running at the same time anyway, so I guess this is fine. We'll just have that on. Keep making some stuff with that, because the coffee brewery needs 25 of these bad boys. And those beavers need coffee, and the coffee is going to be growing in pretty soon to keep filling up all of our non-existent coffee bean storage. Oh, so much to do. So many things have to happen. But they'll make quick work of that, I am sure. I am very interested to see just how quickly this gets finished. I know we're less than halfway there on the gears, but the metal blocks are pretty close. 70% of the way there. And I know we have explosives that exist. They're just not bringing these down here for whatever reason. Did I not mark this tree? I did not. Okay. So, is there no log storage in this district, really? Oh, there's log storage. They just don't want to do anything about it. They're not motivated. They're clearly doing something else. Did I not mark this one either? Yeah, somebody's gotta come grab all these resources out of here. Those planks are full. Come on, don't tell me that I have no log storage when I know for a fact I have log storage. What's up with that? What's up with that? Alright, fine. You're gonna make me put in log storage. I'll put in log storage. I didn't think that was gonna be an issue. Just gonna sit here and make me look like an idiot, huh? Well, that's fine. I do a pretty good job of that by myself. Look, we got all this stuff on the ground. What are you doing, man? Come on. There's so much stuff you could be doing instead of just whatever it is you're doing that doesn't involve actually accomplishing anything. Come on, be better. Be better than that. So, I guess we can leave that alone for a little bit of time. Take a look at some of this other stuff here. I mean, honestly, things are looking pretty okay. It seems we found mostly replacement level pumping for our water with these 6. But it is still going down ever so slightly, so we probably should turn on a couple more of those. But currently, we're a little bit short on beavers, which is why I've been trying to get the well-being up. And it is at 17, but honestly, we need it to be somewhere in the 30s at this point of this playthrough. We just haven't been able to make it work. Coffee will help. Other more consistent food supply will help. They're just taking their sweet time. And, you know, I think... Oh, why is this not prioritized by haulers? Okay, well that would explain why the eggplants are not going. Because they're waiting on canola oil, but they can't get any in. Wow, what a blunder. This is why you should always check. I know, I say that and then I don't follow my own advice. Tale as old as time. That should considerably help what we've got going on here. Average well-being is 14 overall. These guys are at 16. That means these guys are lower than that. 7. Ugh. Okay, well, we got work to do in that regard. How close are we here? Okay. I want to know. At least these got taken out. I want to know where my explosives are. I need my explosives in here. And I know I've got storage somewhere. Theoretically. Oh, it's all the way over here? That would explain why it's taking a super long time. Let's go ahead and help him out. Let's put in a small warehouse closer to the scene of the crime, where we can put all of our explosives in so they don't have to go all over the map trying to take care of that. That should help considerably. There's only so much more pumping that can be done here, but in a stroke of accidental genius, I've somehow managed to place the deep badwater pump into the lowest point in this area, which is going to help considerably once we pump everything out. So I am glad that I accidentally did that, I suppose. I need them to start putting the stuff in here. It shouldn't be this hard. It really should not. But you know how it goes. You know how it goes. Always ends up being something. And again, this middle bit here we're only doing right now because I want to make sure that's finished before we start excavating the rest of it. Or I shouldn't say excavating, blowing up or whatever. Just so it's not a problem later, because we can always come in along the shoreline, as it were, to take care of this a little bit easier whenever the time comes for that. If we had enough wood, I probably would just line this with levees, but I don't think that's the best use for all of those materials. Metal block's just about done. Now we just need another 103 gears and technically 1 metal block, but that should be okay. Man, I gotta manually do everything up here. Also keep an eye on the food because I did disconnect this. But that's going to be okay once everything is ready to go. Should be, at the very least. Yeah, so once this gets blasted out, then I will be putting in a large wheel here. And then we'll have to probably move these guys over a little bit as well to give access to the rest of this. Not going to be a big deal. Just got to get it done. See, here you go. Now we got explosives, and now they can put these things everywhere. And if we have the time, and it looks like we probably will, if we have the production of the dynamite, which it also looks like we probably will, then I can go ahead and get these guys done, because that's where the first wheel's going to go. And that's going to make it just so much easier, because we can come in through the rest of this once we actually have power. That's going to make everything else possible. Because I need this to actually, you know, be a viable thing, I will put levees here just to facilitate placing the other water wheel in this exact place. Get everything taken care of. Just going to take time. You know how it goes. And again, we do have the gears. They just have to transport them. Now, how's food going? Numbers of eggplant rations are increasing now that this has actually been prioritized. I can't believe I hadn't done that before. But you know how it goes. We have a large warehouse for the corn here. We also need a large warehouse for the eggplants, because currently we have no dedicated eggplant storage. So to add to their already incredible list of stuff to accomplish, we'll just go ahead and pop this in here. They'll build it eventually, get it taken care of, and then that should substantially improve everything, because we don't have to wait for stuff to be harvested before we can grow more. Going to be the easiest way to catch up on that is just to have a whole bunch in reserve that we don't necessarily have to use right now, but we're making room to grow more by taking it out of the farming system, unclogging all of that stuff. This is still very slightly going down, but again, I need more beavers. Need more beavers. So we'll get that taken care of. Again, have to very, very closely monitor this and make sure... Well, I guess, you know what? I could just set it to closed. Then there's no problem at all. Should have thought of that a lot sooner. But we're going to go ahead and get these guys popped in here, because I really don't want to wait anymore for that. Centrifuge. Like I said, this is going to end up being moved. So, sorry about you. Number Cruncher fans, don't worry. It's going to come back. It's going to come back. Not going to be a problem. But those will get taken out there so we can prepare for building everything else. And then we can have a much more elegant, or at least somewhat tolerable looking industrial district here once we have everything all situated. So again, there's going to be a wheel coming through this little slot. This hasn't actually been constructed yet. So we have an option here to decide how we want this to be laid out. Now, the reason I say that I have to put the large water wheel here is because of how it connects into the back of the food factory. So if I put this here, the thing that would make the most sense for us to do would be to have this scooted over a little bit, or to just say, you know what, we're going to butt two of these food factories next to each other and then figure out some other way to get everything connected in a way that makes sense. Or we just say, you know what, we're going to have two of these platforms next to each other and then have guys come through here. Or, probably the better way to do it, just take this thing out and have it cross on this side. I can't believe that was the best solution that I hadn't thought of at that point, but everything's paused. We're not generating power anyway, so what harm does it do? And you know what? It doesn't even have to be right here. I actually could have left that right there, and that would have been totally fine. But if there's anything worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Mythbusters taught us that one. But, yeah. Like I said, we just got to get stuff done, man. We've accomplished so little for this being cycle 15, even if the cycles are longer. And people are hungry for results, so that's what we're going to give them. And we're going to have this just connect about as nicely as we can, while also not going directly over this. Remember, we still have the opportunity to move stuff around. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Got to get it done. And we do have suspension bridges. Don't forget. We can just go straight across here and take advantage of all this other stuff. We can also be incredibly stupid and extra and build one of these things here, but why? That's so wasteful on materials. Unless we think it looks cool, in which case that makes it okay. And honestly, it kind of does. I don't know. You decide. Is this stupid? Is this cool? I've got so many planks it probably doesn't matter. But, you know, it's kind of nice. Kind of nice to have something just for the sake of having it, you know? I think I'm going to leave it. I think I'm going to leave it there. For no other reason than to say I can, and I wanted to, so I did. Anyway, let's unpause. This is going to be deprioritized anyway. It's not really that big of a deal. But this right here is ready to be blasted. So, thankfully nobody was killed in that. Get that popped in place. Gonna have another one on this side, which does mean that all of these platforms do have to go, and they do have to be detonated. But that's something that we don't have to do right now. We can wait. Things will be okay. No real need to be concerned. The trees are gone here, which means that this can also go away. And this can also go away. Get rid of this pathing that doesn't have to be here. And now we hopefully have saved a tremendous amount of beaver suffering. We'll see what happens. Just get this situated here. We'll probably at some point need to have this accessible for blowing up. But for the time being, I think this will be totally fine. Going to be really funny when I absolutely have to have this finished and it's not done yet. Alright, we got not a whole lot of gears left to finish this. And we've got a tremendous amount of not power happening here. And we need power. Gotta have it. They actually built that a lot quicker than I thought they would. So if they manage to get this done within the next minute or two, we might be looking pretty good, huh? We're going to go ahead and get this. I know they can't get in here. So that's fine there. Now that this is just about finished, I am going to be a little bit paranoid about getting the rest of this in place. But let's not forget, we have technology. We have the ability to get the rest of this taken care of without beavers being necessarily put in danger here. If I put that there and then I heavily prioritize this one strip, then we know that the rest of these actually, these guys are going to be done anyway. I guess it doesn't matter. I really just need this one strip completed before I turn this thing on. As long as we don't have the food running out. Water isn't looking too good either. I know I have these guys in here that I probably should be operating, but I think I'd rather have the builders in this exact moment. Hey, this is finished. Nice. And guess what? So is this. They just have to finish actually constructing it. It's just all the pieces are here. So if this guy's ready to go, that means this gets to go away. Uh-oh. Somebody was late for something running across that bridge like that. Let's get this levee in place here. And then, oh, you know, I did it again. I did it again. I did it again. I was supposed to have all of these taken care of first. Well, they'll get it figured out. Not worried about it. We're not up against the clock here or anything. Just up against people that want to see results. And not stupidity. Well, they can get this. They can get this taken care of. Be totally fine. Hey, it looks like we got coffee too. They finally finished this. Well-being in this district is a healthy 19, which is not tremendously high, but definitely a welcome thing here. Water logs, coffee beans. Coffee beans continuing to grow in here every 3 days. And as long as we have enough coffee for the beavers, oh, and it's gone. Never mind. Never mind. I thought it would be enough, but I guess we'll just have to increase our coffee growing ever so slightly. We'll get there. We'll get there. Just takes time. You know what else takes time is making treated planks, and it takes longer if you don't have anywhere for them to go. So, ugly solution is still a solution. We'll just build them a thing here. How are we looking? How are we looking over here? All right, now they can finally put in these two. I am kind of embarrassed I didn't do the first time. Anyhow, blow it up. Do not die. Thank you. All right, so that takes care of that problem. Channelize this. Should not be an issue. The one that is an issue is this right here, which somehow I am just now noticing I cut off. Your rage fuels me. Not really. But I do appreciate when you guys point out stuff like this that I miss. Because that's always helpful. Now that one goes away. Then I can finally put this one other dynamite back in. No, don't put that there. We've been over this. We've been over this. It has to be accessible. Alright, so that'll solve that problem. And now, finally, once this dynamite gets exploded, the water wheel can go here. And then another one can go on this side once that's all taken care of. And then we can turn this on. And then we can be generating power up in District 7. And then, technically, my goal for this episode will be complete. Even if it's not, you know, finished. It'll be operational. Alright, that one goes there. That one goes there. It is objectively very funny that we're crossing at not the narrowest point. Some 17th century bridge designers absolutely just screeching, turning over in their graves seeing this, but that's fine. Because it's not the 17th century. It's whatever century the beavers are in, and all the humans are dead, so none of this matters. Alright, large water wheel. Do your thing. Put this guy in here. We are going to wait for them to get... Yeesh. Excuse me. Get all these put in. We've got a little bit more down here, but if this is clear, I have the ability to get the water wheels in place, then we're going to be in tremendous shape. Everything's going to be just fine. So, since this isn't built, get that out of the way, get that out of the way, get that out of the way. And we can do something that we did in the Update 6, I think that was the first series we did. And we can align these food factories with the center of the large water wheels and put other buildings between them. I'm obviously going to pause that because we don't need it right now. But just for the sake of things not looking completely terrible, we can put that guy back there. And then everything should be good to go. Alright, dynamite here is going to allow us to place the other one. That's looking fine. Come get your logs, get your planks. Get that out of here so we can do everything else we got to do. Hey, look at that. Well-being up to 20. What changed? Did I accidentally do something right? It seems like we did. Yeah, it's that food variety coming in. That's really helped them out a whole lot, and that's going to increase the lifespan. Just as a reminder, let's click on one of these beavers. They do get lifespan boosts on the 7s. You remember the Weather Channel local forecast on the 8s. Well, it's the well-being on the 7s. Well-being 17 is a plus 40. Well-being 27 is a plus 60. So getting pretty much everybody above 17 has tremendously increased their lifespan. And that's the goal. Movement speeds on the 5s. And, wait, no, it's not. I can't read. Movement speed is on the 2s. Working speed's on the 5s. And also on the 20s. Which doesn't make sense, and I've just contradicted myself. So, we're going to move on. Not with the end-game menu. Going to move on over here and get this whole thing situated. Please build. Please finish building this water wheel so I can turn this on and no longer look like an idiot. We are kind of low on explosives, but this is ready to go. That gets to go away. We've got 2 logs here that I honestly probably shouldn't worry about saving, but I'm going to do it anyway. Just get the rest of this all situated to get that blasted out, although this is probably fine for a single one of these going. Oh, look at all this stuff on the ground. Guess what? Guess what? it's ready to go. There's no way for beavers to get down in here. We can pause this because we... Actually, no, we're going to need it. We can't pause it. We just have to have badwater discharging. So, single time speed. And it's time to open. Time to open the discharge. Come forth, nasty sludge. Pollute our land once more. And also provide power. That's going to take a little bit of time. So let's speed this process up. But it's not going to be outputting a ton of power, but it will be outputting some. And that counts. Now, if you're worried about these beavers getting sick from the nasty, they're not going to get in it. Because this is plenty of flow for a single one of these outputting 3 CMS. Not going to have any problems. And despite that, it's still putting out 160, almost 170. Yeah. All right. That was absolutely worth whatever we had to do that, which is basically the entire episode, but that's fine. This guy is going to go in here right next to it, and that should substantially increase our output, which is going to allow us to do everything else. And you know what? We're looking really good. We're looking really good, and the video's not even an hour long yet, so I actually accomplished something. That always feels nice, especially after this series had been kind of a mess for a long time, and I felt bad about that. But we're making things better. That's what you do. You live and you learn, get some sort of something accomplished, you feel better about yourself, and that gives you the fuel to continue. And I'm always going to be happy with that. So, as our beavers live longer, we're going to have more of them because the pods pop them out at a constant rate anyway, and then if they don't die faster than they're being replaced, then your population grows. That's always a good thing. So, we're probably coming up toward the end of this episode in a little bit, but before we're finished, I want to make sure that there's a couple more things we can take care of. Like, specifically, we're still running out of canola oil, and we still have plenty of seeds that are not being processed. So, as soon as my autosave just completely messes me up there, we got to do something about the processing and the pressing and all of that stuff, which this is pretty ugly. I'm not even going to lie to you. And it's also not making enough power. So, we're going to make it worse. Yes. Not really a better way to do it. But since we have the opportunity, why don't we go ahead and just flip these around. Move this out this way. That's going to give me the option to put in another oil press here so we can have 3 of them. And then, since we are going to need more power, we'll just put another engine on the very end. And this eldritch abomination of nonsense is going to continue to grow and become worse, but that's fine. We'll just ignore it and not look at it. That means it doesn't exist. How much power are we making? Okay, almost 400. That's very good news, very good progress. And this is almost done. This one's almost done, and then the rest of these are going to be doubles, which, thanks to our centrifuge that I have unceremoniously exploded, we will be able to get rid of most of this without having to wait. I think this is definitely more than 30. Oh no, I've got 59, 60 of them. Yeah, that'll be fine. I'm not going to sit here and count all of those. I'm sure that would be a very frustrating viewing experience. But we're making good progress. We're getting things done, and it feels very nice to finally make some measurable, good progress and really get this district primed for an industrial revolution of its own. So, this is where I'm going to leave it for today. Just take a quick look back over at my notes from the comments, and it seems like we've accomplished, to some degree, at the very least, most of what you guys have been asking for. So I'll consider that a win, and we're going to come back to this district next time. Give it a proper name. Don't forget, plenty of submissions already for names, and I probably have enough to not have to keep asking, but I do want to make sure if you had any final ideas for what we could name District 7, rename it, keep it named District 7, that's also an option we're going to run. just because it's been such an incredibly long time that it's been named that, and it's kind of funny the reason why it's named that. But if you have any other ideas, now's the time. Let me know, or forever hold your peace, or however that goes. But yeah, I'm really pleased with actually having forced Badwater coming out through here and giving us power and making this district viable on its own, and just major goals being accomplished always feels good. Especially in a series like this that's artificially difficult for literally no reason other than to just enjoy the suffering. That's a brand new sentence, but I digress. I really appreciate you being here so much, giving your comments, constructive critiques, encouragement, or just saying hi, whatever it is, makes it possible to keep doing the series and having fun in the process. So, really appreciate you, like I've always said. Can't do it without you, beard boosters, especially subsidizing the insanity and the other fun stuff that isn't insane. But let's be honest, you know how this goes. Really, really and truly could not exist without you. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, whatever it is you're doing. Stay safe, have fun, and we'll be back in this series on Sunday, and we'll be back tomorrow with more updates, 7 Folktales fun, and all sorts of other stuff to come with it. But that's all I got. Have a fantastic rest of your day once again. Really glad we get to share this time together. Go forth and have fun, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye, friends.